Good morning, everyone. We'd like to welcome Mike Sinyard this morning. Mike is the founder and chairman of Specialized Bicycle Components, an American manufacturer of bicycles and cycling components. Specialized is an associate member and has always been supportive of the NBDA and dedicated to the IBD. In 1974, at the age of 24, Mike Sinyard began putting bikes together from Italian components he imported, and the rest, as they say, is history. We know Mike is one of the pioneering leaders in our industry. Mike's entrepreneurial mindset catapulted Specialized to one of the world's leading cycling brands. His passion and love for cycling radiate from every product Specialized have created in the last 44 years. His commitment to innovation and excellence is unparalleled. With a signature tagline of "Innovate or Die," how can we expect anything less than the best? Thank you for joining the NBDA this morning, Mike. It's truly our pleasure to have you with us.
Oh, well, thank you.
Oops.
Good. Well, good morning to everyone. It's an honor to be here. Thank you very much. And well, first of all, I know that all of you in retail are working incredibly hard right now. I'm talking with many of you ongoing, kind of the rush of people coming in is kind of unlike anything we've ever seen before. And as I was saying before, we are definitely in a bike boom. There's no doubt about it. And I would say this is not a fad, this is a trend. And always when I look at things and I talk to our team or others, I go, what is the why? What is the why that this is happening? Because I would say it's happening in the US, but it's also happening around the world. So why is that happening? And it's happening in similar ways around the world. And I would say this virus has changed people's habits, right? It changed people's habits. And what do I mean? I mean, people are staying at home. We have a common thing that we're all focused on, which is this virus. And by staying at home, there's no sports on TV. We're not going out to dinners and things like that. So then the family and friends, loved ones, and health and fitness become really the most important things. And being the old guy, having been in this business a lot of times when the world goes into crisis, even after 9/11, people really return to more core values. And we are definitely seeing that now. So that is, it's only part of the reason, but that's what I believe is the reason why universally people are returning to the bicycle. Because, at the end of the day, even later this year, who's going to go into a gym? Who's going to go into a hot yoga class or a sports bar? People aren't going to do it. They're going to stay home and ride. And so it's really powerful. So, you could say, well, this is a fad. No, this is not a fad. This is a long-term trend. And I would say we all know that cycling was already trending up, but now this just accelerated the whole thing. And I would say, unfortunately, this virus, I would hope we're going to come up with a vaccine, but I don't think so. And some of the scientists I know say, well, we're trying, but we don't have one for AIDS. We probably won't come up with one for this. Regardless, this is going to be here with us for a number of years, right? And really, it only takes a few months to change, as people, to change our habits. And I say our habits have already been changed. So, and I think there's a lot of good things that are coming out of this, of people around the world, not the governments, but the people with a lot more empathy than they've ever had before. So, so as far as cycling, and like you, I love cycling. You know, why did I start Specialized? The same reason you started your store is because you believe, yeah, okay, we're making a living with doing this, but we're making a life by helping people, right? I've always believed that cycling changes lives. It changed my life. You know, I have ADHD, and I find it's just a great way. My son does, millions of other people. That's why I started the Outride. Um, so, so we have all of this coming right now, and so I would say the other thing that that is such a big trend, just like, you know, in the 80s, we had mountain bike. So we had road bike, and then we had the mountain bike, made everything explode. And it brought in more people, new people. So we have the same thing right now. And I don't need to tell you, but all the new people coming into your store. The other thing that is really a massive trend, and I sent some of you some articles on that, what you already know is the electrification of cycling. It is massive. And I would say it's growing in the USA, but I can tell you in Europe, even enthusiast shops, 60 or 70% of their total sales are electric. And I would say in Europe, people have adopted electric much faster. We're going to see it happening here. And at Specialized, we're investing massively in the whole electric. And so I think, wow, what an opportunity. You know, I always say to the team at Specialized and my kids, I say, you know, every crisis in the world is an opportunity to do something great. It's probably the only thing I learned in college, that if there's a crisis, there's an opportunity to do something great. And I would say we have this opportunity now with this crisis. And I know, I just, you know, from talking to all of you, how hard you're all working. But you know, people love the bicycle. And now I know it's hard to hire enough people, but you know, think about all the people in restaurants and hotels and all these other areas working in gyms. All these people are not employed as they were before. Let's get those people and bring them in. Let's bring those people into your stores. And I think in one hand, it's great that we're so busy that there's a line out the store or our repairs are, you know, 2 weeks out. But in some ways, that's not good. We gotta resource up with all the people and get and service those riders, because people want to ride. They want to ride right now. I mean, you know it. So, and the beauty of this, this whole trend, people want to go to your local, the local store. People, you know, people don't want to go to the big mass store. They want to go to your store. They want to be part of something bigger. So as much as you can team up and grab, you know, the best talent to be part of your business, not just for right now, but ongoing, that's what we need to do. I always say it's like this, you know, for Specialized in whatever department or category, if we have the best people, we're always going to do something good. It's always like that, and having the best team. So I couldn't be more excited about, you know, just what's going on right now. It's the biggest bike boom that we've ever seen. I saw the bike boom of the 70s. I think this is so much bigger. So it's, And I know it's also tough, right? It's a tough time. And that's what makes it a bigger opportunity. I always feel that as Specialized, I tell the team, hey, the tougher the environment becomes for us, whether it's supply things or other kind of issues, the tougher it is, the better we're going to do in relation to everybody else, because it's the way we work, and we don't give up, just like you. And so I think during this time, some stores are just going to flourish, right? Just going to flourish like all of you. And some stores are not going to, right? Because it's the mindset. And really the mindset comes from you as the leader, right? And I don't know if a good thing to look at is this guy, Simon Sneak, who wrote this, famous guy. He wrote many TED Talks, and he said, people buy what you believe. People don't buy what you make, right? So this is really, and it's a deep thing, but in some ways very simple, and it's worth Googling that and learning about that and guiding your principles that way. So the bike boom is really so real, and it's going to continue for some years. And also the boom of electrification. And there's so many different articles out there that globally and in the US has said, hey, the most important electric vehicle of the future is not cars, but it's bikes. And so for your store and us, we need to own that together. Let's be smart and grab that, just like we grabbed the mountain bike years ago. But this is even bigger. I mean, there's car companies coming into this category, but I would say it's for us. It's for us to own that and to drive it. So yeah, I know the service is such a big thing. I was thinking about in talking to all of you is like, yeah, I would just try to really get all of these really talented mechanics and people, and one of the things is value what you do on the service. We're bicycle people. We think it's simple. It's not simple, and so therefore charge more for your service. And if you charge more for your service, you'll be able to pay those service people more, right? And potentially have that quick turnaround. I sent you that one article that it was talking about, hey, if you want to buy a bike, expect to have a long delay. Well, we don't want a long delay. We want people to get out there right away. And I often tell our people, hey, it takes the same energy to stay 2 weeks behind as it does to be on top of it. See, we just got to get on top of it. I know it's easier said than done, but it's all opportunity for us. But this trend will definitely continue, and we can see a lot of things where cities are investing in cycling. And in fact, so one of the things, so in the future, and the future's kind of coming here right now, is cars are not interesting anymore. I'm an old guy, and probably for some of you when you're growing up, oh, you couldn't wait to get your license and how exciting that is. You know what? Young people don't really care about that much. And in the future, we'll care less, because we're going to have self-driving cars all over. You may have a car and it drops you off and then goes and works all day and then comes back for you later. And so when you look in the street, you won't see all these, cars littering the streets. The cars will be out working. This not that far away. This not that far away. And what the personal mobility will be the bike, right? And we're really focusing on that, making really high quality bikes that last a long time, that when you're going at speed, they're very safe, and can last a lifetime. So the car is, as we know it, will change, and in some ways people won't be driving themselves. It'll be self-driving, which I would say, when we have the sensors on the car and the sensors on the bike, it's going to make the riding on the street much, much safer. And this is not far away. And we need it. Like you, I like riding off-road, but I like riding on the road as well. And it's, we have to be really careful out there. But couldn't be more excited about this whole situation in the world. And I think, just to say it, I think in the world, people are losing confidence in governments to take care of them, right, in the world. And I think we have to take, companies and people have to take care for themselves, right, and to be healthy, and because people don't trust the governments and don't trust what they hear, but they know about being healthy, and they know that they love their family, and that they know that cycling, the bicycle, has become a center of the family and the culture. I think you just see that in a lot of ways. I mean, the last month or so, we had and I'm sure you're experiencing this, we had the largest kid bike sales ever. And at that time of year is completely unusual, right? Completely unusual, but it shows where people are going. So I think during this time, there's a lot of great talent out there, and a lot of people are laid off from all the different jobs, and there's an opportunity to get those great talents in your store, and hopefully have those people as very long-term people in your store to service all these riders. Because we know, taking care of a person on a bike, there's a lot of details that has to be right, for the bike to work right, and for people to know how to operate it safely. And that's really what you and we can bring to the rider that's unique, that is not brought through other channels. And so it's a super exciting time, and I know everybody is like we are. We're working to serve all of you. We're working harder than we've ever worked before. And I would say, in some ways, there's moments that we're tired, but mostly I would say we feel huge exhilaration and passion that just drives us to serve you. And I've been talking to many of you throughout the week and the weekend, how things are going. And I just want to say I'm also inspired, hugely inspired by all of you and how hard you work. Yeah, it just drives me to feel like, man, we got to even work harder to serve you. But I know you're all working really hard. Yeah, and the beauty of what we're doing now, we're not just together, we're not just working hard to make $1 for today, but we're setting up the future. All those riders are going to come back in your store, and they're going to go, hey, I bought this rock hopper, now I want a Levo, or I want to update, or hey, my friend rode one of those turbo bikes, now I want to get one of those, right? You know how all that works. And And how beautiful is that? People come back to the store and go, man, I lost 20 pounds. My blood pressure is way down. I'm loving life, right? I mean, that's what we do. That's what we do together. What other industry or, could have that positive effect on people, right? It's so real. And that's just motivates us all to do it. So my thing is, let's capture this time to build our platform to a much higher level than we have today, and make it sustainable. And somehow we have to find a way to bring in these people to help us. And as you all know, when you have a great teammates in your store, you can do anything. And we need to always select the best team, best team. I always say, hey, do the people have a huge curiosity and determination? Do the people have grit? And are they really willing to serve the customers? And with that kind of team, you can just keep building the platform for the future, because this is going to last. This is going to last for some time, and we're going to do it together. And I would say, as Specialized, in 3 years we're going to be 50 years old, and luckily there's so many young people that we have that have huge energy and determination. Specialized will continue on forever, but we have a tremendous number of new products in the pipeline, for the last, because it takes us about 3 years or 4 years to develop something completely new. And the good news is there's a lot. So I would say together we are completely set up to win, and the opportunity is ours. We can make it happen together. Yeah, I didn't want to I can get really passionate and go on forever about those things, but I'd love to hear more from you, and if there's other things that other questions you have or thoughts, I'd love to open it up.
Great. We have a few questions here, starting with, other than taking care of customers now, what kinds of things can we be doing to help make their recent interest in cycling permanent?
Yeah, I think besides, having that team and the staff building that, I think the community aspect is a big one. Probably bigger than ever, because people are staying within they've kind of learned to stay within their community, and so building the community of rides and other activities is very powerful. I would say, getting more kids on bikes, the whole thing with whenever schools do resume. By the way, I don't think schools will resume in some areas probably until the new calendar year. It depends. So, but I think the community aspect is really a big one. How can you set that up, and how could you have people to help set that up, right? And the sustainability also comes to the people you have, right? And I do think, so sometimes when I see it, I feel that that the service that we give, we don't value it enough, and we don't charge enough for the service, and therefore we can't pay the mechanics enough. And so I think that cycle we need to solve, right? And you see that a lot of other industries do that. I mean, we don't want to overcharge the people for service, but I mean, one of the ways to control the volume is increase the price. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, that's fine. That's fine. I don't know if that answers your question.
All right. We've got, as an industry, how do you think we're doing to keep things moving forward?
Well, that's a broad question, but yeah, I'd say in the industry, let's put it this way, we're nowhere near the National Rifle Association, right? I mean, how the National Rifle Association does it is a good model. I think we're making progress. I think the People for Bikes team has done some good work. I have, we've been involved and supported, every advocacy group, and been a founding member all the way from the IMBA to the NICA and People for Bikes. And the one we believe the most opportunity right now is Outride, because it has a more emotional appeal with that, and that's kids. I think we need to do more. I think there's an opportunity to do more now with this, with all this boom on bikes, and a lot of cities are closing it down. So I think we have a nice tailwind to do that. I would say in Europe, the bicycle is more part of the culture. We can learn from them. Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of things developed for the bicycle. I'm always critical of everything, so inside the company and and everything we do, and I think, yeah, we could do more. We could do more as an industry. And I think my personal view of it is the way to do it, as I mentioned, is through the kids, because that's an emotional thing, and everybody loves kids. I think that is more compelling than old white people on trails, right? I think that the kids, everybody can relate to that. And I think that what NICA has done with kids and riding, I think changed everything. So more of that.
All right. We do have a question about, we have a few questions actually about supply. Bob Marjavickas said he could come on and answer a few questions. Would that be all right?
Sure. Yeah, and there's nobody that knows better about supply than Bob, and Bob manages our supply. But yeah, the supply will be tight, that's for sure. Go ahead, Bob.
All right, and so you guys, are we on?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
All
we can.
So supply is going to be tight, and with Mike and the rest of the team at Specialized, I can tell you that we're working truly 24 hours a day, just trying to work with our suppliers, not only to just maintain a continuous supply, but to try and add to the production that we have. And I will say that we're not compromising in any way the integrity of the product. We're ensuring that the product is exactly what it is that we've committed to and what you've committed to as a brand. And my encouragement to all of you is just check in on a daily basis. We're getting products in on a daily basis. We're getting shipments in. There's kids bikes coming in. We have rock hoppers. We have various other products coming in. So from our side, we're working, as I said, 24 hours to get things here and to work on supplies. We have a infrastructure of people working in Asia that are connecting up with the suppliers to make sure that availability and that we're getting all the components that we need for the bikes that we have on order. And you know, as Mike alluded to in the very beginning, you know, we don't see this changing at all. We see that this demand is going to continue for quite some time, and in particular, we're going to continue to see kids bikes. We're going to continue to see opening price point bikes, and we're going to see a lot more people on performance bikes. So from the supply and the demand side, we're keeping our foot on the gas pedal and making sure that we have availability and continuous supply for all of you. And it's, you know, is it going to be enough? We really don't know. But we're working 24/7. I know I sent Mike a message yesterday, late last night, telling them that the factories are redlining at this moment, and you know, we're seeing workers. We're working 24/7 right now just to get availability and looking at complementing our existing sources of supply that we have to try and even get more. But we're doing our best, and I'll just go on to say, I think everybody's in the same position. I think everybody's scrambling in the same way, and we're all trying to service and satisfy the needs of the marketplace right now. And you know, I'm going to compliment a couple of other things that Mike said, which has really been great. You know, the important thing for all of us now is to ensure how we keep these people who are currently, they're either new riders or they're people who pulled their bikes out of the garage. What do we need to do as an industry to try and keep them engaged and keep them as part of our community and our tribe? And a lot of you out in the field, a lot of you're the ones who are touching them on a day-to-day basis, and we've got to keep them really enthusiastic and engaged and enjoying the experience, because we're in a new era now, and we really need to work together to try and keep them and make sure that they're satisfied and that they're enjoying the whole experience. So anyway, I'm open to any questions that relate to supply, or Mike, if you have any other things you want to add.
No, Bob, that's good. You know, one thing I would add, and I know all of you are so busy, and it's one of the things you always try to do, but to think about, you know, people come in and want that bike, and all of you know how to do it better than I can say it, but always try to look at how could you upgrade that customer? How could you have, like, somebody comes in, wants a bike, could you have the turbos out in the front, and you go, hey, just take this for a little spin, you know? And I think kind of opening people's mind to how something is better. We know from experience, if somebody buys a higher end bike, particularly electric bike, then they're going to be riding a lot, and they're going to tell other people. But that's what I would do is get your staff to try to, you know, set those, like those turbos out in the front, let people ride them, and you know how people smile after they ride we call it the turbo smile. But I think that's a way to raise your average price point and ensure people are going to ride for a longer period.
Okay, our next question is, are you afraid the demand for kids' bikes will die off once their overly scheduled lives resume?
Well, yeah, that's a good point. I think, first of all, I think it's going to be a while before kids go back to school. As we were saying, some of the colleges had announced that they're not going back until January. Yeah, we think that it might taper down, but I think it's going to be, I think it'll be higher overall because that's what families are going to do. I think the work from home thing for a lot of companies is people have found that it works quite well, and in some ways maybe better. So I think that's that's going to be here. Well, you know, I think probably the hardest thing of the work from home for young families is the kids have so much energy. It's like overwhelming, right? So you have to get them out on a bike. I do think it'll taper down, but I think it's going to continue to be strong. And I'm really pleased that, you know, we as an industry together are able to capture these the kids' bikes instead of having it all, you know, go to the mass merchants. And, you know, because together we offer a better product and a safer product and a more sustainable product. I do think it'll go down, but I think for the next few years, it's still going to be strong.
Next question is, what does the future of pre-seasons look like?
Oh boy, that's a good one. You know, we can't even see that far. You know, and I think as Bob was talking about the supplies, that's a really, I, I guess just to answer you, we don't know yet. We don't know, and but what we are doing is, as Bob said, I mean, we are literally working day and night on all the things of the supply because we don't want to let you down. As far as the future supply and the demand, we're not sure yet, but we're being very, very agile. I mean, we're going to run, we and others are going to run quite short. This we are now, and we're going to in the next months. So the preseason one, I don't know yet. And I think it's something that we want to talk with all of you is like, what should we do? You know, what should we do in a new way of operating? I mean, unfortunately for what we do have a long lead time, you know, with Shimano parts and other things like that. Turning it on and off it takes time. I know I didn't answer the question except for to say we're still working on that.
Next one is more of a comment, but it's really nice. So thank you for your time today. I needed a lift because I'm burned out. Thanks for putting a charge in my batteries and recognizing how hard our dealers are working to take care of people.
Well, you know, thanks for saying that. You know, it's funny that you say that, you know, because we've been working really hard as well. And then I was talking to a number of people on the Midwest and the East Coast on the weekend, and they talked about how they were working, and I was kind of feeling tired. And then I heard how hard you guys were working. And I thought, oh my gosh, you know, okay, we can do more. I felt so energized. You know, it's kind of like that feeling when you go for a long ride and you're kind of exhausted, but you feel great. And that's you know, that's how we feel. And I think the other thing is keeping our health up, right? You know, keeping the health up and, you know, taking vitamin C and D and keeping the hygiene really good. You know, sleep is a big deal. You know, I would say don't deprive your sleep. You got to get sleep because we don't want you to get sick. But how hard you are working is incredible. So thank you.
Okay, although you are not currently in this category, what role do you see cargo bikes playing in our society?
I think a big one. I think a big category, right? Well, as many of you know, when I started the company, I had a trailer, a bike trailer, and I like that because then I could just unhook it and then I've got my regular bike. But I think all these areas of being able to carry things on the bike and the cargo bike is a big future. I think the electric and the pedal power is the future, not only for the environment but for health. And so I see it as very big. I'm very optimistic. We're not in that category, but I love the category. And I love to see people riding by with the kids in there or things in there. It's great.
In a time when we are having to change the way we do business to meet our customers' needs more quickly and efficiently, what long-term changes do bike manufacturers need to make to meet the needs of specialty retailers and ultimately our customers more quickly and efficiently?
Well, I think just like yourself, we need to up our game on the service. And, you know, here I am talking about for you to make your service more quickly. We're behind. We're behind. I mean, I think our service and all that has like quadrupled right now. So we have to improve that. I think probably the biggest investment thing that Specialized needs to do is on the whole digital. We're behind there on the digital of, you know, a rider comes on and can look and to see, hey, at your local store, do you have the inventory and how are we doing that, right? So that's one of the biggest things. I mean, now we probably have more people in digital than we did in product R&D, you know, 10 years ago. So that's a big one, right? Because that's the way the world, works right now. So a lot of things that we have to invest in, and to have a better website, so when people go to our website, they can understand it, and it's not so much bike speak. So we're working on these things daily, and as people know that Bob and I, we always say to people, hey, it's not fast enough. We got to move quicker.
All right. We've got more of a comment from Gary Fisher. He says, I know why this is different than the 73 bike boom and the most important move we should make. That would be good to know.
And what, Gary, what was that again about the 70 bike boom?
He says, I know why this is different than the 73 bike boom and the most important move we should make.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. And well, Gary's always been such an advocate for cycling and inspired all of us in that way. And, you know, interesting that I look at some of the designs and things that that Gary had back a long time ago, the genius geometry, and guess what? That's what is a lot of people are using now. So yeah, it is completely different. I like the part of the family orientation of this boom.
All right, looks like we have time for one more. Have bike companies realized now that shops are only selling bikes during this time and their margins are not high enough to support their businesses? Is this a time to raise margins across the board for all bikes?
Well, you know, there's always a good question, right, on the margin. You know, we have a lot of different factors that we face, right? Because we're not alone. We have brands that are selling online, right? And you know, we have, you know, so we have different pressures on the margin. I think what's important what I always talk to our team and to all of you as retailers, you know, we don't take margin percentage to the bank. What we do take is we take margin dollars. And I know you all know that, but it's something to think about, the margin dollars that we realize from more valuable bike sales. And I actually think it's pretty good. I think it's pretty good if you look at it compared to any other industry or motorcycle industry. I think the margin is pretty good. What we do at Specialized, I'm always looking to see in the data across the nation. And I'm proud of the fact that normally we have the highest realized margin. You know, people can say, oh yeah, we're giving you 45% on this bike, but what is the realized margin? If there's over distributed or the brand isn't worth that much, then the margin they get is much less. So I think as an industry, we need to find more ways to get margin through service and other things. I don't see, although I'd love to say, yeah, margins are going to go up. I don't see it. I'd say that we feel the pressure. Our margin goes down, and but our realized margin is pretty good. And hopefully with Specialized, you're able to get that. I mean, the data shows that we have so far. I don't know if I answered that question very well, if that was clear.
I believe we're out of time for you.
Okay.
Thank you so much for being here with us today and for taking the time.
Well, thank you for inviting us. And, you know, I just want to say the last thing is that although we're, you know, we're not getting together and seeing each other, in many ways, all of us, and particularly myself, we feel closer to all of you and much more gratitude. It's such a high level, so thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. And sorry we couldn't address all your questions, but there were too many for the time allotted.
Yeah, thanks for inviting. Thank you.